In this video, I will explain how Charged with Light works, and how you can make your own builds, to easily do content like raids or Grandmaster Nightfalls. First, what is Charged with Light? It is basically a buff that you get by doing certain things in the game. This buff will stay with until you die, leave activity or use it in some way, which I will explain in a bit. This buff, Charged with Light, can stack on top of itself. In other words, you can carry multiple charges of light, or in Destiny's words, you can carry multiple stacks of Charged with Light. That is why you see a number, like ×2 or ×3, beside Charged with Light on your screen. Now, how do you get this Charged with Light buff? This is where your first set of Charged with Light mods, the green mods, come in. There are 14 green mods in total. When you equip one green mod on any armor piece, you have to do exactly what the mod says. For example, the mod Taking Charge says, become charged with light by picking up orbs of power. So the moment you pick up an orb of power, you gain 1 stack of Charged with Light. You collect more orbs, you gain more stacks. There is a limit on how many stacks you can hold. You cannot just go on collecting orbs and gain hundreds of stacks. By default the limit is 2. So, you can only have max 2 stacks of Charged with Light at any time. There are ways to increase that limit. That I will explain later in this video. Now, you have Charged with Light buff, thanks to the green mod. How do you use this buff? This is where the set of yellow mods come in. There are 13 yellow mods in total. The yellow mod will determine how you are allowed to use that buff. For example, Argent Ordnance. While charged with light, readying or firing a rocket launcher grants it increased damage and reload speed. Damaging a combatant with a rocket consumes 1 stack of Charged with Light. So you see, this mod only buffs your rocket launcher, when you have Charged with Light buff. This mod, and any other yellow mod, will consume 1 or more stacks of Charged with Light, when you do what the mod says. So you can see there is a cycle going on here. You use green mod, to get Charged with Light buff. Then you use yellow mod, to spend that stack, and buff yourself or your weapon in some way. Then you repeat the cycle. Next, there are white mods. These are special Charged with Light mods, that work like utility mods. There are 5 mods in total. These mods do not help you collect, or spend Charged with Light buff. Instead they enhance your build. So with this in mind, I will give you one example of some basic builds. The most common one is Taking Charged plus Protective Light. You go on fighting bad guys, and generate orbs of power. You get Charged with Light, by collecting orbs, thanks to Taking Charge. Then, the Protective Light makes you harder to kill. When your shields break, you gain damage resistance by spending all stacks of Charged with Light. Then you go on killing more bad guys, generate more orbs of power, and the cycle repeats. If you throw a white mod, like Supercharged in this build, you can hold up to 4 to 5 stacks, instead of only 2. This makes the yellow mod, Protective Light, more powerful. One thing to keep in mind. You need both green mod and yellow mod, for any Charged with Light build. If any one is missing, you will not get the buff and, it will not even show up on your screen. Another thing to note, some Charged with Light mods can only be used on certain type of armors. For example, Protective Light can only be used on Void-type armors, not on Solar, Arc or Stasis-type armors. There are tons of build possibilities. If you want me to make a detailed guide, let me know in the comments below. Hopefully you now understand the fundamentals of Charged with Light, and can make cracked builds to tackle the Witch Queen, and her army of Hive Guardians.